Well, hello everyone. Well, I've had a terrible week since I got back from Matlock on Sunday. I parked the van in the drive and retired to my bed, and there I stayed for much of the week. But I am starting to feel a little bit better now, so it's time really to get to the bottom of this leaking water heater, ready for when we go away over Christmas. Well, I've uncovered everything again, taken the insulating jacket off the top, and everything has dried out quite nicely. The water did seem to be coming from under there, so I think the only thing that could have failed is the seal round the tank into the housing, or possibly apparently this centre rod that goes through to hold the tank on can corrode sometimes. So either of those, I think, may be the cause of my leak. So I think the first thing to do is to undo that nut and take the tank off. I have already ordered a new seal online. It's not come yet, but it'd be do no harm, I think, to take this tank off and have a look and see if we think that was the seal that caused the problem. Well, I did drain this down, of course, when I got back from Matlock. So hopefully it's completely empty. It's a 24mm nut on the end here, so let's undo it and see what happens. Oh, didn't really take much undoing there, it's pretty loose. Well, now that nut's off, I've also removed the remaining bit of the insulation from underneath. I think you can also take this little metal ring off. And then as far as I'm aware, the tank should slide away from that front housing. Let's give that a go. Well, there we go. This rod doesn't look too bad actually. It looks pretty solid. You can see it did actually release a little bit of water when I took it off. There obviously was some water in there. I'll get that all dried off and cleaned up as best I can. This is the little seal. Doesn't look in shocking condition, but it is a little bit dry and maybe a little bit scaly as well. So we'll wait for that new one to arrive and then put that on back on with some silicone grease. The tank itself has a little bit of scale and stuff hanging in the bottom. I'll get rid of all that. And then hopefully when the new seal arrives I can get it all put back together again and we'll have no more hot water leaks for a while. Righto, well I guess we'll have to leave it there until the new parts arrive. Well, it's the following weekend and the new parts for the water heater have arrived. So there we go, there's our new seal for the tank, which we need, and we also need this seal for the tie bar. We don't need a seal for the electric element because ours hasn't got an electric element. I'm not sure what these bolts are. They might be something to do with the electric version as well. Actually, the old tie bar seal from our heater is rather different to this new seal. Maybe it's a different one for the gas and electric version, so we may need to clean up and reuse our old seal for the tie bar. Now I've seen it suggested that you put on the new seal with some silicone grease. I haven't actually got any silicone grease, but I do have this food industry multi-purpose oil, which is a very heavy oil. It's almost like a grease really. So I'm going to use that and put the new seal on now. now I'm going to put the tank back on with the old seal on the end of the tank rod. And you can see this seal is shaped to fit into this spacer thingy. Well, if you remember, the nut on the end here was pretty loose when I first took it off. I've had a look around the internet and I can't find a torque setting for this, so I'm going to use a trick that my granddad taught me, which is just use 2 fingers on the wrench, and then it shouldn't be possible really to over tighten it. There we go. Well, we've taken a bit of a break for a few hours because it was my granddaughter's gymnastics show, and very good it was too. But now we're back and I've put some water in the tank. I haven't filled the tank because I'm going to have to drain it out again because we're getting some frosts now. But I'll put some water in the tank and I'm going to turn on the pump to pressurise the system. Turn off the taps. I can hear some water going into that hot water tank. Now I'll just operate the taps to drain the air out. That's the cold. Bit of air in the hot and in the bog as well, of course. Well, all the air is now out of the system, so I'm just getting ordinary water out of the hot taps, and the pump has stopped, so the system is now pressurised. So, can we feel any leak from this tank? Well, the end nut is nice and dry. A bit cold, of course, because it's very cold outside. Yeah, can't feel anything under there, other than just the general coldness. So I'm going to put the hot water on now just to simulate normal use, I guess, and see if we have a leak. It will be under a little bit more pressure when it's heated up, of course, so it is a little bit more of a test. Of course, to do that I have had to go outside and turn the gas on. Well, now that's lit, that shouldn't take too long to warm up. And I haven't heard the pump fire again to indicate that we've got a leak, so that's good. Okay, well, the pump has fired a couple of times, and I think you can see just on the underside of this connection here, there is a little drip. If I can just touch it and get it to... Yeah, so you can see it's leaking from there now as well, so I'm going to have to drain it all down again and see if we can tackle that leak. Now, it's quite likely, I suppose, that that was the source of the original leak and we didn't actually need to replace the tank seal, but I suppose it was well worth doing. But yeah, we need to fix that leak now. So the tank is currently draining down. I'm sure by now it is below the level of that top fitting. There's no pressure in it now because there's nothing coming out the taps. So let's go ahead and take that off. Well, there's that lovely barbed coupling that we've just taken out, and it was sealed with this little O-ring, which does look as if it's been crushed quite flat. Unfortunately, it's not the same size as any of the other O-rings that I've got in my little kit I ordered. So there you go, there's the hole it came out of. Doesn't seem to be anything damaged, nothing is cracked or split or anything. So I think it probably is just that O-ring being flattened over time. Well, I've had a bit of a rummage in the garage, a bit dark out here, but I found something that I think might be useful. Now, back around 1993, I was working on a site where they were stripping out an old steam boiler room, and I found this. And I rescued it from the skip, and look at it. Absolutely fantastic, look. Now, if there's not a suitable O-ring in there, I'll eat my hat. Now, it's either going to be a number 11 or a number 12, I think. I'm going to say number 11 because I think number 12 is slightly slack. Yeah, look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Now, this really is the perfect example of why you shouldn't throw stuff away. Nikki's always saying to me, why do you keep all that stuff? You never use it. Well, there you go. If I'd have thrown that away in 1992, I wouldn't have the right O-ring now, would I? Hey? I'll probably put some PTFE tape round the thread as well, just for good measure. Well, hopefully that'll do the trick. But I'm going to go in and have some dinner now because it's getting quite late and there's a nice bit of lamb to be had. So I'll maybe come back out here later, put some more water in the system and see what happens. Well, as you might guess, I didn't make it back out last night after I had my lamb. I just spent the evening on the sofa instead watching a film. So anyway, we're back out here this morning and I'm going to put some more water in the tank so we can try out this water heater and see if we fix the leak. I have left water in the system overnight, but we're on the electric hookup at home at the moment with a little oil-fired electric heater left on, so I'm not too worried about it freezing overnight. It didn't actually drop below freezing last night anyway. Right, oh well, that's a little bit more water in the tank, so it's on with the pump again. Bleed the air off the taps again. Right, well the pump stopped again, so that means the system is pressurised and it's not restarting without me turning the taps on, so that's a good sign. Let's see if we can feel any leaks. No, that's pretty dry, but that pump did just fire, did you hear that? But that could just be it settling down. Can't feel anything under here other than condensation, of course, because this is a cold metal cylinder. So it does make it difficult to work out if it's leaking or not, but I'm pretty sure that slight dampness is just condensation. Right, I've turned the gas on, so now let's run the heater and get some heat into it. Right, well, I was wondering why it was taking so long to warm up, and we're actually pretty low on gas. There's hardly any gas pressure left. I've just tried to light the ring and I can only just get a real faint glimmer out of it. So we're pretty much out of gas, so we're not going to be able to test it with the water really hot. It's warmed up a little bit, so we've used up the last of the gas trying it. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn off the heater, because obviously there's not much point leaving that on. Nikki wants to go for a bit of a walk, so we're going to go for a couple of hours walk. I'll turn off the pump as well, but we'll leave the system pressurised and I'll leave those insulated covers off it, and then when we come back in a couple of hours time I'll be able to see if there's any leakage or not, and I think if there's none then we'll call the job done. Well, we're back and I've hooked that new gas cylinder up. Still looking pretty good for leaks. There's nothing evident. That staining on the timber there is from that food grade oil. Right, so I put the water heating back on again and now we've got a full tank of gas. That should make the water nice and warm, hopefully. So while that does that, I'm going to have a spot of lunch. Righto, well, lunch is over. There's no discernible leaks from the water heater and it's feeling nice and hot. Nice piping hot water coming out of the tap. So I reckon we can say that's a success. I'm going to put everything back together, the insulated covers back on and the seat back on and everything, and then we'll drain down and call that job done. Well, fantastic. I'm glad that's fixed, ready for our next trip away. Well, that's all for now. If you enjoyed it, press like. Subscribe if you want to see some more. And ring the bell to be notified when we upload something new.